I want to share with you how this nib burns. This one is typically referred to as the shading nib or a rounded shader, and I want to show you what techniques it tends to naturally burn best. Hey Pyro, I'm Gianni Lisenby, founder of BurnSavvy.com and your Pyro Professor, and this video series is woodburning tips and their uses, Wire Nib Edition. If you are looking for the solid point edition, that's already over on my YouTube channel. Feel free to hop over there and check out that playlist. And if you want more videos like this one, remember to smash the like button and subscribe button, and then press the bell so you never miss a video. Now remember, the point of these videos are not to show you what you can do with this nib, because I believe that you can do almost any technique with almost any nib if you try hard enough, okay? So I'm intentionally not trying very hard. I want you to see what this nib likes to do naturally. Now I am using a Coalwood detailer at a heat level of about 4.5, and the first test is lines. I feel like it does really good, clean, crisp lines when you put it on its side or up on the very, very tip. But sometimes it's kind of hard to get a clean beginning and a clean ending. A little bit hard to get those lines started and finished exactly where you want them. It does do a long, fuzzy line when you lay it flat. And so I feel like for lines, it does an okay job. Next up was testing the dots. And when you lay it flat, it doesn't really leave a nice dot. It's more like a rainbow shape, and the center part is even kind of cut out. And when you get it a little further up on the tip, it can make ovals, but it doesn't really do dots. And when you stick it up on the very edge of the nib, it just leaves dashed lines, not dots. So I would say that dots are a hard one to do with the shading nib. When it comes to curves, I felt like it also did okay. Turning it up on the edge and on the side, if you have a very light hand, you can get some decent curves. It would take a little bit more effort to get those cleaned up. And it didn't matter whether it was large curves or small curves, it all seemed to struggle just a little bit. When I laid it flat, you could get into some curved areas, but it's not very exact. It's very fuzzy. And so, if that's what you're going for, awesome. But otherwise, I feel like curves are a tough one. And with circles, I felt it was even harder. It was really hard to get the edge of the nib to make a nice clean circle without trying really hard. And when I laid it flat, it did okay. But it really wasn't all that great. Once again, you're going to have to do a lot of cleanup if you're not careful, because it's easy to get really thick areas and really thin areas on those circles. When it comes to lettering, I did not feel like it took the curves very easily. It was really hard to use on the side, or at least for the cursive lettering, trying to get it clean. And then with the bold block lettering, it was also really hard to get clean starting points and stopping points on your lines when you're trying to get the bold block lettering. So in my mind, that means it's hard for lettering. I would not recommend this nib for lettering unless you're doing like giant lettering. I really don't think that this nib is well suited for that. Now shading, on the other hand, is fabulous. I mean, I guess that's the reason why this specialty nib is totally made for shading. You want a nice flat surface on the nib for shading, generally, unless you're going for some kind of texture. And so when you lay this flat, doing the stripes, you can get a beautiful gradient with much less effort. And when you're doing those circles, like the scumbling or the circular motion, it also does a beautiful job. So true to its name, the rounded shader does a beautiful job with shading. So in the end, the rounded shader does okay with lines, it's lousy for dots, it's okay with curves, it's hard for circles, it's hard for lettering, and it's fantastic for shading. If this was helpful, you should definitely jump into the free 5-day beginner wood burning art challenge going on, where you're going to learn wood burning tips, techniques, and fundamentals that are going to help you get the clean, crisp lines and beautiful burned art that you've been craving. Join us at woodburningartchallenge.com/join to jump into the party. I'll see you there. Later, Pyro.